Well, call it a cold open because we're about to get started with the season finale of the Prototype Cup Germany. It's side by side into the first corner, and it's our pole sitter. That is the number 11 car of Leonard Wies into the lead. We've got a spin. It's the Reiter Engineering car, the number 24 of Leon Duca in a spin at the first corner. Thankfully, no one collected him up, but into a spin he went. I didn't quite see if it was assisted or not, but nonetheless, one car spinning, another car sideways. Unsurprisingly, it's our resident drifter, the number 22, Danny Sufi, in a spin then. Not quite a spin, it was a slide. He styled it out well. He's up in 4th place in the early going. The field jumbled up from our initial grid, courtesy of some dramas. Oh, and the under tray comes off the Ginetta of Danny Sufi. The entire rear splitter, I think, just parted ways with the car. That was a big moment there, and that inevitably is either going to need a marshal to run out there in the time before they come out onto the circuit, or it's going to have to be a safety car situation. That is a big body part that got thrown up in the air there, and Danny Sufi quite rightfully withdrawing to the grass as a result of that. This is the title deciding weekend. I appreciate we've come into this short, sharp and fast. It's going to be an exciting 55-minute race. It's Berkay Bessler and Marvin Dienst, our championship contenders here, and Marvin Dienst is in that number 7 car, the Toksport WRT Ligier. They are some way back right now in the order in this race. They are down, I believe, in P6 right now. Yes, they are. However, critically, they are ahead of their closest championship rival, or just behind their closest championship rival, in fact. That is the number 2 car of Maximilian Hacklander. It's not Hacklander that is a title contender. It's his teammate, Axel Jeffries, who has been racing with us all season. 95.5 points for both Berkay Bessler and Marvin Dienst, our championship leaders. 82 points for Axel Jeffries. So Axel Jeffries needs to outscore Berkay Bessler and Marvin Dienst by at least 13.5 points. Call it 14 because we're not going to have half points here. So it's going to be a lot of work for Maximilian Hacklander and Axel Jeffries, but work is exactly what Maximilian Hacklander is doing right now up the inside of Erlbacher in the 70 car, the Gebhardt Motorsport number 70 Ginetta. Great to have Gebhardt Motorsport and Conrad Motorsport in the same sentence. 2 historic prototype racing teams head-to-head in identical Ginettas, and it looks like Maximilian Hacklander has the upper hand right now. Now, it's not only the overall championship in Prototype Cup Germany up for grabs. The overall championship is the one I was discussing with you earlier on. Berkay Bessler and Marvin Dienst at the head of that order. In the trophy category for gentlemen drivers, it's Matthias Luton at the top. He's currently top by 33 points exactly, I should say, and I believe 37.5 points will be available in this race for his closest competition, Torsten Kratz. So effectively, Torsten Kratz is going to need to knock this one out of the park and hope for misfortune for the Molnar Motorsport car of Matthias Luton, which is currently in 8th place and will be handed over to Donald Munding later on in the day. Of course, Leonard Wies in the lead at the moment. That is the car that Torsten Kratz will take over. So for now, you could say that Leonard Wies very much is knocking it out of the park on behalf of Torsten Kratz. Rejoining the race after a spell in the pit lane is Leon Duca. Good to see that that car is still running. The Reiter Engineering Ligier that was in a spin on lap 1. But nonetheless, a shame for Leon and also for Moritz Lerner, who will take that car over later on. A 3 times ADAC GT Masters esports champion, has done very well in this car, did a great job yesterday in the race, but unfortunately their fortunes have gone awry at the first juncture. And look at this side-by-side for Marvin Dienst as he attacks Erlbacher now. The number 70 car under huge threat and almost contact between the 2 of them as Marvin Dienst tries to go around the outside of Erlbacher. Erlbacher just about holds on to P5 for now, but they're still side by side as they run towards T12, and surely Marvin Dienst has done it. Yes, he has. Jakob Erlbacher couldn't quite hold off Marvin Dienst. Of course, Marvin Dienst was racing earlier on in the ADAC GT Masters for the ZVO Mercedes team, so he has some very recent experience of the Hockenheimring. He's been a busy boy today. He had a qualifying session to do in Prototype Cup in the morning, and then he's had 2 races to do this afternoon in GT Masters and Prototype Cup, and this one carries a lot of weight because it is the title decider. If things were to finish as they are right now, it would be championship glory for Dienst and Berkay Bessler. Here's a replay of what happened to the 24 car, sent into a spin indeed by Maximilian Hacklander. So that's what happened there, and that was the moment that I believe the splitter, or perhaps part of the under tray, came off of the number 22 machine. I've never seen anything quite so major come off a car in that manner. We can see that Danny Sufi's car has been repaired and in fact has been sent back out, although it's now not moving at a particularly fast rate. So I'm just wondering whether the issues continue for the American Danny Sufi, who has shown so much promise, but unfortunately he and the car well, they're gelling well, but the car doesn't seem to stay under him for long. He's had a couple of issues getting the car started in the pit lane. He's now had part of the under tray fall off the car, or part of the underneath of the car spontaneously disappear from underneath him in this race. I think he's going to feel a little bit aggrieved by some of the misfortunes he has had in his part season here in ADAC Prototype Cup Germany. Right, well, we started this broadcast all of seconds before the race got started. Let's try and reset this as best we can for you. It's Lennart Wies in the lead of the race right now for WTM Racing in the Duqueine D08. That was the car that started on pole position. In second place is Rory Penttinen in the Ligier from the MRS GT crew. Penttinen and the MRS crew were peeling some of the protective film off that car early in the week. It is a brand new machine from the factory, and I'm hoping to see that car back out in the 2023 season. Certainly Penttinen has been making the car's debut, one to remember. A good result yesterday after some woes at the start of the race, and now up there in second place in this one. Penttinen looking very promising. Also great to see Gary Hauser in third place right now in the Racing Experience Duqueine D08. That car didn't see the end of the first lap, unfortunately, in yesterday's race. But look at this, a pit stop penalty for car number 7. That is Marvin Dienst's car. Incorrect starting position, say the stewards, and that means they're going to be held for 5 seconds during the pit stop, and that may well lose them some positions before Berkay Bessler heads out to take the final stint of the season. Well, twists in the tail are coming thick and fast, aren't they? Axel Jeffries will be watching on with interest right now. He's the driver that could steal the championship away. He's the most likely to steal the championship away at this stage. He's not completely alone in that as well, because Donar Munding and Matthias Luton are also still within championship contention, as technically are Leonard Wies and Torsten Kratz. But Axel Jeffries is the closest in the championship right now, and so he'll be looking at that and going, well, I wonder if that will work in my favour. Maximilian Hacklander a bit further up the road there in 4th place. We see him in the number 2 Ginetta just turning through turn 2. Danny Sufi getting out of the way of Marvin Dienst there. Of course, Sufi in the other Conrad Ginetta, but way down the order already after that bizarre incident heading towards the hairpin at turn 6. So it's Wies from Penttinen, from Hauser, from Hacklander, our top 4, 2nd, 3rd and 4th place, very close together as they go through the hairpin for the 6th lap of this race. Dion, a spin for Hacklander. Championship implications are plenty in that one. That's the car that Axel Jeffries is going to take over later on. But in the immediate offing, it doesn't seem like Hacklander is accelerating again. Well, I thought he was going to have a spin and lose some time, but now the car simply won't go. And for Axel Jeffries, this could be the end of his championship hopes. Maximilian Hacklander with a spin, and now he's doing a Control-Alt-Delete. You can see resetting the car, and it looks as though it might be picking up speed again now. But what happened for Maximilian Hacklander? Just tried to put the power down where we had some oil or some fluid spill in the ADAC GT4 Germany race just moments ago. And from there, he was little more than a passenger into a spin. And now, is that into retirement? I believe that was car number 2, the Conrad Motorsport Ginetta, peeling off behind the barriers between T11 and T12. It was the number 2 car. Oh no, so Maximilian Hacklander retiring the number 2 car. Axel Jeffries is out of championship contention and out of the race for Conrad Motorsport. Franz Conrad is going to be so disappointed with that. And that's such a shame. Well, we've just had a declaration that there will be a drive-through penalty for car 2 because of team members being at the car at 15 seconds notice. So that's a pre-grid procedural issue. We also have a drive-through penalty administered to car number 22 for causing a collision. So both of the Conrad Motorsport cars were given drive-through penalties, but that's of little consequence or interest to Maximilian Hacklander, who unfortunately has retired the car and narrowed down the championship battle. Now Marvin Dietz and Berkay Bessler no longer have to worry about Axel Jeffries. His car is retired. His car is not going to score points in this race. They now have to look down to the car that was 3rd in the championship coming into this one, and that was Don Armunding and Matthias Luton in the Malner Motorsport Duqueine D08. That car is on 80 points, so they're 15.5 points behind Bessler and Dietz. So they'll need to score at least 16 points in order to claim the championship, which means they need to be on the podium at the very least, 3rd place or bust for that team. And not only 3rd place or bust, but they're going to need Bessler and Marvin Dietz to suffer from some misfortunes. The 22 car serving its drive-through penalty. Danny Sufi, the American racer, trundling through the pits and will rejoin the race. I'm sure he's frustrated that he's already effectively out of contention in the race, but heads back out onto the circuit now. I believe he is a lap off anyone else in the field. In fact, he's 2 laps down on the majority of the field and 1 lap down on the car just ahead of him. That's Leon Duca, who of course lost a lap after that spin at turn 1. So Leonard Wies, 2.1 seconds clear of Penttinen right now at the sharp end of the order. For Wies and indeed for Torsten Kratz, they both have championship aspirations. They're technically within range of the overall championship, but moreover, they're both in contention within the junior and the trophy classes. Now, Torsten is going to need Matthias Luton to basically not score in order to claim the championship. It's a little bit closer in the junior class, where Leonard Wies could well usurp Don Armunding here. 142.5 points for Don Armunding in the junior classification, 119.25 for Leonard Wies. So that means that it's effectively 23 points between them. That doesn't sound that promising, but you do have to remember that there's a 1.5 times multiplication in that class, depending on how their co-driver is rated. In the case of both Munding and Wies, they're both sharing with bronze drivers. Therefore, they will both score 37.5 points if they take the race win. So, if Don Armunding has an especially poor race, then Leonard Wies could still take the junior championship. For now, though, Leonard Wies is in control of this race. Rory Penttinen there under significant pressure from Gary Hauser. Great to see Gary Hauser getting a turn in the car that was involved in a big collision at lap 1 at the hairpin in yesterday's race. It was when Sebastian von Gartzen started the car, was collected and unfortunately retired from the race as a result of a collision. And that collision was with none other than the current championship leaders Marvin Dietz and Berkay Bessler. Berkay Bessler and Marvin Dietz with a non-score yesterday owing to their involvement in that incident. So then Danny Sufi, no one's told him that he's a lap down on Leon Duca because he's challenging nonetheless as if he's in a close fight with this driver. I was very impressed with Danny Soufi's qualifying time earlier today as he tries to sweep around the outside here. He's a lap off this car, but he's clearly a little bit quicker. He took the outside line at turn 13, and that was a wonderful move, if only it counted for position. But nonetheless, there's nothing to stop you from unlapping yourself in a motor race. Danny Soufi gets past Leon Duca and will carry on forward, gaining some valuable experience of this LMP3 Ginetta, the Ginetta G61 LTP3. But Soufi impressed me immensely in this morning's qualifying. He was within a second of pole position. And Danny, with such little experience in sports car competition, that was very impressive. Marvin Dienst up the inside of Gary Hauser and past Gary Hauser. Hauser looked like he struggled to get traction down out of the hairpin there. And Marvin Dienst has just moved up to third position. So Marvin Dienst is doing exactly what we expected him to do, and that's carve his way through the field from a relatively poor starting position. You can see that that car was in the walls a little bit earlier today in quali. Well, not even in quali, I should say. The car was, of course, basically had to have the front end entirely replaced after yesterday's transgressions. On the first lap of the race. Marvin Dienst, though, up into third position. And as of now, Dienst, along with Berkay Bessler, would be the inaugural champions in Prototype Cup Germany. As we get a replay here of Danny Soufi's move there to unlap himself up against Leon Duca. Of course, the ADAC and Creventic working together to bring the Prototype Cup Germany to fruition. And we've seen so much interest, and lots of teams take part on a part-time basis, a good few teams committing to the full season as well. And we understand that there will be an advancement. We have new teams, new cars for 2023. I know of at least a couple of teams that are running one car this year that want to run two in 2023. I know of a couple of teams looking to join the series for the first time next year, and a lot of part-time runners from this year looking to commit on a full-time basis next year as well. We've heard some great buzz in regards to entries for the years to come. And proof in the pudding that ADAC and Creventic could have a hit on their hands with the Prototype Cup Germany. These LMP3 cars, at every meeting I've been to this year with the ADAC, have turned heads and generated a lot of interest from the viewing public. Marvin Dienst pressuring Rory Penttinen then. This is for second place. Penttinen, a champion in LMP3 competition. And there is Maximilian Hacklander. And you can see that he is very much considering what could have been, I imagine, not just for himself, but also for his teammate Axel Jeffries. And Danny Soufi is just on the main straight there, having an issue. Now, I was worried initially that the car had let go. I don't know whether maybe Danny made a mistake. We might get a replay of that. Oh, it was a slight error from Danny. Just asked too much of the rear tyres and ended up bouncing across the gravel. Just avoided the concrete barrier there, I'm happy to say. And he'll continue on. Penttinen then, still in second place, despite Marvin Dienst's increasing level of pressure being applied. He had a great weekend at the Hockenheimring last month in GT Masters, did Marvin Dienst. He was drafted in to replace Danny Juncker-Deyer alongside Jan Marszalkowski in the ZVO camp, the ZVO Mercedes team in GT Masters. Took a podium in race 1 and then went and won race 2 along with Jan Marszalkowski Didn't have the best run of it in either of the two GT Masters races this weekend, Dienst and Marszalkowski. But Marvin Dienst has an opportunity at redemption here, and no small level of it either, if he can claim at this Prototype Cup Germany Championship that he's been working hard towards all year long. Then I'm sure he will leave this weekend a very happy and fulfilled racing driver. A racing driver who I personally expect to see up the ranks in years to come, because he's very impressive in any car you put him in. This man, Rory Penttinen, though, is holding off Marvin Dienst. Penttinen, a championship winner in LMP3 in the Asian Le Mans Series in 2021, at the start of the 2021 calendar year. Did so driving for United Autosports, has raced in prototypes, has raced in GT cars, he's even a class winner at the Nürburgring 24-hour race. So Marvin Dienst up against a formidable foe here in the form of Rory Penttinen, a driver with plenty of prototype experience. To turn 12 goes this battle for second place. Leonard Wies all the while is disappearing up the road, 2.6 seconds clear. Pit window is going to open in short order. Believe that next time by we should just about have the pit window open. Should open at the 33-minute-to-go marker, if I'm not mistaken. And indeed, yes, it will open at 33 to go. It'll be open for 10 minutes. Pit stops 1 minute and 45 seconds, or 1 minute and 55 if you've got a more advanced driver lineup. But I don't believe any of the more advanced driver lineups are still running. We saw there that replay of Leon Duca being lapped, but that was just lapping. Meanwhile, Rory Penttinen still holds off Marvin Dienst. Interestingly, the last couple of laps, Leonard Wies has looked a little bit slower. He's maybe backed off his pace by about half a second or so. That could, of course, be the tyres no longer being quite as fresh as they once were. Perhaps just trying to give Torsten Kratz as good of a chance as he can, and one part of that will be giving some tyres with a bit of tread left on them. Gary Hauser still lurking behind Marvin Dienst after being overtaken several laps ago. Hauser will hand over to Sebastian von Gartzen. Von Gartzen is talented driver in his own right, and we'll see whether he could make a charge for the podium. Just 4.3 seconds at this stage of the race between the top four then. We are into the pit window, and no one in the top four has pitted at the first opportunity, nor has the fifth place car. Jakob Erlbacher, who's very lonely out there in fifth, he has continued on. What about Matthias Luton? Well, he's in sixth place, and he is coming into the pits. Yes, he is. So, into the pits and handing over to Donnar Munding is this man, Matthias Luton. Clock begins to tick away. 105 seconds. 1 minute and 45 seconds from pit in to pit out. Of course, the driver change will take place now. No tyre change to do in this series. Here, tear off coming off the canopy for the 24 car, off the windscreen for Leon Duca, who will be uninstalled in favour of Moritz Lerner now. Into the pits as well comes the 33 car. That's Martin Berry handing over to Oscar Tunjo. Oscar Tunjo, who is in his third round in Prototype Cup Germany. They weren't there at the season opener at Spa. Tunjo has been with Rinaldi Racing since the Nürburgring in July. Creventic's been very strong as well. We'll see what he can do. He's taken over the car that was running in 7th place. In as well has come Thibaut Earhart, who will hand over to Julian Schell, the ex-Le Mans 24 Hours competitor, the team boss of Pegasus Racing, taking over effectively his own car, the Pegasus Racing Ligier, the number 23 machine. So our first batch of pit stoppers due out of the pit lane again very shortly. Matthias Luton rejoins the race and does so about 6 seconds late, as it were. 6 seconds after he could have exited. So Donald Munding rejoining the race, taking over from Matthias Luton, and I fear that 5 or 6 seconds may cost them later on. Meanwhile, rejoining the race as well is Oscar Tuño in the 33 car, and out behind him is the 22 of Danny Soufi. Of course, Soufi several laps down with his various dramas in this race so far, so he's not a factor up against Oscar Tuño, but nonetheless, he will be in the mirrors of Tuño as he settles into his stints. Marvin Dienst into the pit lane then, in the car that could be on its way to championship glory. Marvin Dienst has done his bit. It's now the time of the Turkish racer, Berkay Bessler. Berkay has been just as impressive as Marvin this season. Has raced successfully in Porsches prior to joining Prototype Cup Germany. Just 23 years of age. And a very impressive young driver who I know has been sniffing around the ADAC paddock in search of opportunity for next year. And I'm sure opportunity will come. Whether we see him in Prototype Cup Germany again, or whether he looks elsewhere for his racing activity next year, we'll have to wait and see, but I have no doubt that he'll find a seat somewhere. And that will become even more certain if he can take this championship along with Marvin Dienst, as looks likely right now. Here's our race leader then, Leonard Wies. In the number 11 car, he's 3.1 seconds clear of Rory Penton, at least he was last time across the line. And into the pits comes Wies. So Wies will hand over now to Torsten Kratz. Torsten, who will be looking to potentially net himself the trophy class here today, but as it stands, he's going to fail to do so, given there is a 33-point advantage in favour of Matthias Luton, who's still running out there. For Molnar Motorsports, or rather Donald Munding is in that car and running for Molnar Motorsports effectively. Almost as long as Donner finishes, then Matthias Luton will claim the trophy class, and as it stands, much the same will apply to Donner himself in the junior category. Rory Penton and then our race leader. As a result of the pit stop for Leonard Wies. Penton, one of the drivers who is competing solo. So he is getting plenty of track time this weekend, for one thing. And that means that he doesn't have to brace in the back of the garage and watch someone else take over his pride and joy. This car, brand new Ligier JSP 320, was brought into service earlier this week, was effectively shook down here at the circuit on Thursday. And into the pits comes Rory Penton. his stop, and as he comes in, our former race leader Leonard Wies watches as Torsten Kratz takes over and exits pit lane in the number 11 Duqueine D08 from the WTM Racing stable. We'll see where Kratz comes out in relation to this man, Rory Penttinen. Now, what was their pit stop time ultimately? It was a 1:52.9, which is, frankly, a little bit of a slow stop. So I wonder whether Torsten Kratz could fall behind Penttinen here if MRS GT Racing are efficient at getting the car started and back out onto the circuit. Donar Munding has just crossed the line in 6th place. I believe 6th place is exactly where he will be at the end of this pit window once everyone has made their stop. The only driver left that hasn't made his stop is this man, Gary Hauser. However, this time by, he is going to have to pit. Only 50 seconds left of this window. If you pit after the window has clicked down to 0, then I'm afraid you're going to get a penalty. I'm sure Gary Hauser is acutely aware of that, and he certainly is, because in comes Gary Hauser. Family-run racing experience team is the Hauser family's baby, this squad. Gary's father is the man in charge. Gary Hauser has a heavy role to play in the day-to-day running of the team as well. Out onto the circuit comes Rory Penttinen, and he does so behind Torsten Kratz. So Torsten Kratz will be our race leader once the timing screen catches up to what's happening on circuit. There is Torsten Kratz. Of course, he's not our race leader yet because Gary Hauser is in the pit lane a lap ahead. However, Hauser should drop back behind Kratz and indeed potentially Penttinen as well. But now let's see whether Torsten Kratz has the pace advantage over that man Rory Penttinen, or whether Penttinen can maybe get involved and challenge for a race win. The number 12 car still waiting in silence, will soon roll again in the pit lane. They're at the far end of the pit lane at Racing Experience, so they will be rolling shortly. It looks, however, though, that Torsten Kratz is going to take the lead, and yes, he will. Gary Hauser watches on as Sebastian von Gartzen takes over the number 12, and von Gartzen will fall to 3rd place. He's not only going to lose out to Torsten Kratz, he's also going to lose out to Rory Penttinen, or is he? No, not quite. Penttinen, I think, had a bit of a slow outlap. And von Gartzen rejoins the race in 2nd place ahead of Penttinen. Interesting. Berkay Bessler 17 seconds back. Of course, they had a 5-second penalty owing to having an incorrect starting position during the pit stop, the TalkSport WRT crew. So Berkay Bessler and Marvin Dienst had a slightly longer stop. They remain in 4th place. They remain in the pound seat when it comes to the championship battle. They needed to finish ahead of the number 21 car of Donar Munding and Matthias Luton as a primary objective, but von Gartzen has gone wide there at the Mercedes Arena. Apologies, I was looking down at my notes there for a second, and through has gone von Gartzen. Sebastian von Gartzen down to 3rd place then. It's Penttinen, of course, that has gone through. So the MRS GT Racing Ligier is up into 2nd place. Von Gartzen demoted to 3rd. Unfortunately, it didn't take long for Sebastian von Gartzen to lose out then. He is now demoted to third position. Berkay Bessler is the next car to potentially visit the rearview mirrors of von Gartzen. Von Gartzen, who is a bronze-rated driver, but he is not over 35, which is why he's not in the trophy class. He's not a trophy class factor. You have to be 35 and over and a bronze driver to be in the trophy class. So he is in the overall rankings only. Indeed, von Gartzen is quite a bit younger at 29 years old. Class winner at the M24, but looks like he's going to struggle to claim a win here in the Prototype Cup Germany in this race. The Racing Experience team are yet to have a win this season. In fact, it could be a matter of losing out on a podium as well, as there's only 6.9 seconds between von Gartzen and Berkay Bessler. We'll see what their relative lap times are looking like. Berkay Bessler last time through was on a 1:39.567. Von Gartzen has not set a flying lap since coming out of the pits, so let's wait and see what his lap time is now as he gets ready to cross the line behind Rory Penttinen in the 14 car in second place. His lap was actually a 1:39.798, so that is a respectable lap time. Well, perhaps von Gartzen can hold off Berkay Bessler. Let's wait and see. Torsten Kratz up the road from that second and third place battle. He is our race leader by just over 10 seconds. 10.097 seconds was the gap between this WTM Racing 11 car and the rest of the chasing pack. It's been a great showing here for WTM Racing, who took their maiden win yesterday in the Prototype Cup Germany. It was a great occasion for the young Torsten, or the young driver in the form of Leonard Wies, and for Torsten Kratz as well. Rory Penttinen there in second place. I just want to correct myself on Sebastian von Gartzen. He's a silver-rated driver. For some reason, I had him down on bronze, but then I realised that didn't sound right based on some of the driving we've seen from him this year. And sure enough, he is a bronze. He is not a bronze-rated driver. He is a silver-rated driver, and so we can reasonably expect him to be on the same level as the likes of Berkay Bessler. Bessler, who himself is a silver categorized driver. If you're unfamiliar with the driver categories that the FIA puts on, effectively bronze is for gentlemen drivers. Silver is usually the domain of young professionals, although occasionally the faster gentlemen or AM drivers will end up in silver as well. And then, of course, gold and platinum is for the quickest of the quick, the pro drivers. Gold being a majority of them. Platinum drivers tend to be XF1 stars or world champions in some capacity. Good battle on here for fifth place then. Donar Munding climbing up the order. Mikael Herrick up ahead for Gebhardt Motorsport. Can Donar Munding find a way by? He's flashing the headlights. He's been closing up at the rate of 3 seconds a lap, and thus it's perhaps unsurprising, in fact over 4 seconds a lap, but it's perhaps unsurprising then that he slots his way through into 5th position. Unlapping in the Molnar Motorsport car gets his way past Mikael Herrick. Herrick is a bronze-rated driver. He's in the trophy class here, so we don't necessarily expect him to be up to the same standards as, for example, a Unlapping, who is a very experienced driver, a very quick driver at that, has been racing in ADAC GT4 Germany this year alongside Prototype Cup. Of course, Mikael Herrick runs a Gebhardt C2 car, a Group C2 class car in historic events. The C2 class was effectively the LMP2 class of the 1980s. He first raced with Gebhardt Motorsport in the 1990s in what became the FIA Sports Car Championship, then the Sports Car World Cup. And the Gebhardt Motorsport team, with a hugely decorated past and a long-standing commitment to sports car racing. And they split their time between running some of their classic Group C machinery and now also contemporary prototype racing in Prototype Cup Germany. Torsten Kratz there with a little bit of sideways moment at turn 13, just fighting to get the power down through the Michelin rubber. And there is a good visual on the gap between Kratz and Penttinen. The gap has gone out slightly over the course of the first 2 sectors, just by under a 1/10. Let's see what the gap is by the end of the lap. Ultimately, it's gone out by another 3/10 in the final sector alone, so Torsten Kratz is building an advantage over Rory Penttinen. I thought that Penttinen might just be able to take the fight to Kratz, but that doesn't appear to be the case. Sebastian von Gartzen is being closed in upon now by Berkay Bessler, but not by much. The gap between von Gartzen and Bessler is at 5.7 seconds. Incidentally, even though it is highly unlikely, as things stand, for Unlapping and Matthias Luton to take the championship overall, of course, as it stands, it will go to this car, the number 7 of Berkay Bessler and Marvin Dienst. It is worth noting that with Axel Jeffries set to non-score, they will leap back up to 2nd in the championship standings, where they were coming into this weekend. So Munding and Luton currently on course to be runners-up in the inaugural ADAC Prototype Cup Germany. Unlapping, incidentally, has been putting on a great shift. His last lap of 1:37.655 is a personal best of the race, and the tail of the tape really does tell it all, doesn't it? Because Berkay Bessler is being closed in upon by Unlapping at a rate of knots right now. I thought Munding might be a bit too far back to challenge Berkay Bessler, but he's starting to convince me otherwise. He's clearly pushing on. The car was unsettled there through turn 12, but he held it together nicely. Unlapping debuted in LMP3 in 2021 in the Michelin Le Mans Cup. Just 19 years old at the start of the year. I believe he has since turned 20, but a very bright young talent. See the 70 car across the line in P6, Mikael Herrick. He was just behind the Moritz Lerner-driven Reiter Engineering Ligier. That car is a lap down, of course, after that contact or that spin on lap 1 of the race. There's Oscar Tunjo, who has been very, very quickly catching up to Mikael Herrick. You get the feeling that is going to be something of a one-way street between the two of them. Herrick is 7 seconds up the road at the moment, being caught at a rate of 4 to 5 seconds a lap by Oscar Tunjo. As mentioned earlier on, Mikael Herrick is a bronze driver. We don't necessarily expect him to be at the same level as the likes of Oscar Tunyo, who is a race winner in the GP3 series, now known as the FIA Formula 3 Championship. Looked very promising on the junior single-seater ladder at one time. Is now plying his trade in sports car competition. There is Danny Soufi, who I believe will be rated bronze. I didn't actually look at his driver listing. He is a silver driver. Interesting. So he's silver, I think, just because he's such a young driver. But he is hugely new to the prototype world. He debuted at the Lausitzring in ADAC Prototype Cup Germany, and he did so having only ever raced in a Mazda MX-5 out in the US, sometimes with his father. He's also done some drifting in a Corvette, lovely red C6, little red Corvette indeed for Danny Soufi. But he went straight from regional level events in an MX-5 to LMP3 competition in Europe, far away from his home state of Texas. But Danny Soufi has been adapting wonderfully. Was within a second of Leonard Wies's pole time in qualifying this morning. And if you're able to be within a second of the likes of Leonard Wies and Maximilian Hacklander in your second weekend of competition in the prototype, and your second... Oh, and straight on, there goes Mikael Herrick. So Herrick straight on and losing a position. Well, it was somewhat inevitable that Oscar Tunyo was going to take the place, but Mikael Herrick, with that slight error, making it fairly easy. But yes, to summarise on Danny Soufi, the fact that he's so quick so quickly suggests that a lot more could come from him with experience of purebred race cars at high levels. Straight on went the number 70 car of Mikael Herrick. He will try and press on. Oscar Tunyo up into 6th place then, courtesy of that overtake on Mikael Herrick. Tunyo there in 6th position then, and Rinaldi Racing also with a heavy role to play in running the WTM racing car, so Rinaldi will have a lot to celebrate this evening, particularly if things stay as they are at the sharp end of the order, with Torsten Kratz still in the lead. Torsten Kratz, I think, is a perfect example of a bronze driver who could quite easily be silver. Certainly, he's every bit as fast as Rory Penttinen out there at the moment, and Penttinen is a silver-rated driver. He's also going quicker than Sebastian von Gartzen, another silver-rated driver. So Torsten Kratz really showing what he can do. I remember he had a difficult qualifying at the Lausitzring in the wet weather, but that aside, he has been second to none. He's certainly not been that much slower than Leonard Wies anywhere he's gone this year. Testament to his skills. A very decorated driver at the Nürburgring 24 Hours is Torsten Kratz at 52 years of age now. He stepped into LMP3 racing last year and has taken to it like a duck takes to water. Oscar Tunyo, let's see what the gap is between himself and Donar Munding. Has been going down then, took 6/10 out of Munding on that lap. Munding, incidentally, is still closing in on Berkay Bessler for 4th place, but the gap is at 4.5 seconds with 6 minutes to go. And the rate of catch between Munding and Bessler is around a second a lap, so I think the maths tells the tale, as it were, that Berkay Bessler is going to retain 4th place, all going well. So he will slightly extend the championship lead for both he and Marvin Dienst, if things are to remain as they currently are here in what is a title-deciding race for Prototype Cup Germany. As it stands, Berkay Bessler and Marvin Dienst are on course to take the inaugural Prototype Cup Germany Championship in association with the Creventic organisation, organisers of the 24-hour series and the ADAC. Of course, Creventic's year is anything but over. They've got the small matter of a trip to Q8 in the next few weeks for an event at the Q8 Motor City. I believe that's a 12-hour race. That will be a GT and saloon car affair, though. I know that in 2023, we're expecting an expanded calendar for Prototype Cup Germany, as well as the aforementioned increase of entrants. Certainly parties both at ADAC and Creventic are very optimistic about the future of this category. Torsten Kratz then into the Mercedes arena on the 30th lap of the race. And as of right now, Torsten Kratz is looking like a comfortable favourite for race victory. 11.5 seconds clear of Rory Penttinen, and the gap is only extending. Just need to do a little bit of maths here as I talk to you about the second place in the championship. Of course, with this victory, Kratz and Wies would, in theory, gain 25 points should they cross the line in first. For fifth place, you would get 11 points. That's Donner Munding and Matthias Luton's current position. And so by my reckoning, we could see Leonard Wies and Torsten Kratz end up as the runner-ups in the championship here. Axel Jeffries is on 82 points as it stands currently. He is second in the championship, or he was second in the championship coming into this one. Donner Munding and Matthias Luton are on 80 points apiece. Currently third in the championship, and coming into this one, Leonard Wies and Torsten Kratz are on 72. So yes, Leonard Wies and Torsten Kratz, at least for now, look as though they could be racing towards second in the overall standings. Both parties are set to miss out on their respective class championships in the junior and trophy class, but it looks like they could be due a runner-up prize in the Prototype Cup Germany standings. Meanwhile, Mikael Herrick is now joined on track by Danny Sufi, who is 2 laps down on Herrick, but we've already seen that Sufi is more than willing to unlap a driver. I think we're going to see further evidence of that in just a moment. He's in the slipstream of Mikael Herrick then as they approach the turn 6 hairpin. He's going to look to the inside, I imagine. Yes, he does. Darts to the inside now. Much more confident on the brakes. Textbook stuff then from Danny Sufi to unlap himself up against Mikael Herrick. I really wish that Danny had got an opportunity to show what he was capable of on the lead lap in this race. Of course, with that bodywork falling off the car on lap 1, he ended up losing time in the pit lane. What could have been for Danny? Hopefully we see him back in 2023. Certainly has been fully committed to this partial campaign in Prototype Cup Germany. He's based himself in the Conrad Motorsport Workshop for the last couple of months in preparation for Lausitz and then indeed for this event here at the Hockenheimring. Torsten Kratz then, with 1 minute and 8 seconds left to go, is on his third last lap of the race. Should cross the line to start his penultimate lap this time by. Kratz then in the lead by 10.7 seconds. His pace has slightly dialed back now, but understandably so, given Rory Penttinen is quite a way down the road in second place. Donner Munding, meanwhile, is very close to the back of Berkay Bessler in the battle for fourth place. They're just coming through Mercedes Arena turn 8 right now and out towards sector 2. The reason I bring that up is because they were 1.8 seconds apart going through the start-finish line last time, and you can see that that gap is a lot smaller now. So even though Donar Munding and Matthias Lutzen are unlikely to steal the championship away from Berkay Bessler and Marvin Dienst, they could take fourth in the race on the final lap. It might be a bit of a tall order for Donar Munding up against a driver like Berkay Bessler, but we'll have to see whether the young German could maybe just pull a rabbit out of the hat on the final lap. Both parties have steadily caught up with Sebastian von Gartzen, but he is well clear in third place. Let's see if Donar Munding can maybe, just maybe, pull out a special lap and be close enough for an overtake in the last few corners. He's certainly got a little bit of a help in the form of slipstream here through the parabolic at turn 5 and towards the turn 6 hairpin. Of course, I say final lap of the race. We do +1 lap here on the 55-minute race distance. So this is actually the penultimate lap of the race, and that puts things well in favour of Donar Munding. An extra lap to try and hunt down the car ahead of him in the form of Berkay Bessler. You can tell he's trying, but little sideways moments like that, little moments of correction like that, will cost him more than they gain, as cool as they sometimes look on television. Sometimes efficiency is the way forward. Donar Munding, though, unrelenting as he tries to chase down Berkay Bessler here on this, what is now going to be the final lap of the race when they cross the line this time. I get the feeling Bessler is just about in a strong enough position to take this. In fact, he's set a personal best middle sector on this lap, so I think he's got the hurry up from someone down his radio. Let's see if he can hold off Donar Munding then. Bessler and Dienst are due to become the inaugural champions in Prototype Cup Germany. They're on the final lap of their season and in a position to take the title. But will they take the title from 4th or 5th place is the question. If Donar Munding has his way, it will be the latter. Certainly, I think that Berkay Bessler has switched on the afterburners a little bit here, but Munding closing in significantly. We're going to have to tear our eyes away from this shortly as the leader heads towards the final few corners, but let's see if Munding has what it takes. Much later on the brakes into Mercedes Arena. Doesn't get the run out of the corner though, went a bit too deep and slightly missed the apex. There aren't many good overtaking opportunities left in the lap for him. Let's see if Munding can do anything. For Torsten Kratz and Leonhard Wies, though, the Hockenheimring has proven to be the ultimate happy hunting ground. Kratz and Wies, for the second time in as many days, claim victory here in Prototype Cup Germany. And by my reckoning, they should also be runners-up in the championship standings overall. Pentinen's crossed the line for second, von Gartzen in third, but the winners of the Prototype Cup Germany Championship in 2022 are Berkay Bessler, Marvin Dienst and the TalkSport WRT team. They were so dominant in the early stages of this season, and they know they've done it. TalkSport WRT celebrate a championship victory. Marvin Dienst is going to be lifted up and embraced with this result. The number 7 car, the Ligier, was a force to be reckoned with all season long. The class of the field for much of the year. 3 wins from 4 races in the first 2 rounds of the championship. The Lausitz and Hockenheimring rounds proved to be significantly more difficult for Bessler and Marvin Dienst, but nonetheless, they are champions. Torsten Kratz and Leonhard Wies are race winners. And again, per my reckoning, they will also be runners-up in the overall championship with a 37.5 point haul in the trophy class. Torsten Kratz won't quite beat Matthias Luton. Matthias Luton will be our trophy championship winner. And in the junior category, I believe Unlapping has done enough as well. Unlapping finishing 5th place, which should net him 17 points. I think it's very close. I think it's 3 points or 2.75 points between Munding and Wies ultimately, but Unlapping, I believe, is our Prototype Cup Germany junior champion as well. So a championship apiece for the Molnar Motorsport team of Unlapping and Matthias Luton, provisionally at least. And the Prototype Cup Germany overall title will go to Berkay Bessler and Marvin Dienst. But Torsten Kratz and Leonard Wies are our race winners for the 2nd time in as many days here at the Hockenheimring. The Duquesne D08 of WTM Racing has claimed victory once again. 2nd place finish for Rory Penttinen. I remind you, that car was factory fresh on Monday. It's been on the podium a couple of times since then already. A seasoned history then for the chassis belonging to MRS GT Racing. Delighted to see that MRS GT, a team with lots of experience in GT Masters among other categories, looking at Prototype Cup Germany. I'm sure they'll be here for 2023. Leonard Wies joining Torsten Kratz for the customary climb up onto the roof. A bit more difficult in an LMP3 car to climb up onto the roof, it must be said. Capacity is limited, but they found a way. And once again, these two look like they were in a class of their own this weekend. Good momentum for 2023. Should they decide to come back, and I have every faith that they will. Embraces all round for the Rinaldi crew, who of course are very well done, involved with the preparation of the WTM Racing entry. Confirmation of the order then: Kratz and Wies taking the win ahead of Rory Penttinen, Sebastian von Gartzen and Gary Hauser taking 3rd. Our champions, Berkay Bessler and Marvin Dienst, crossing the line in 4th place, just ahead of Unlapping and Matthias Luton, who unfortunately will fall to 3rd in the championship, or remain 3rd in the championship, having been leapfrogged by Torsten Kratz and Leonard Wies at the last gasp. Just to run down beyond 5th place: Oscar Tunio in 6th, Mikael Herrick in 7th, Julian Schell in 8th, 9th to Lerner in the 24 car. Sebastian von Gartzen and Gary Hauser then taking a well-earned 3rd place, which I'm sure they will feel is something of retribution after being taken out on lap 1 yesterday. Rory Penttinen capping off a very successful first weekend of LMP3 competition for MRS GT Racing, a former champion in LMP3 competition elsewhere, showing every inch of his class. Torsten Kratz and Leonard Wies, though, for the 2nd time this weekend, are race winners. They're also our runners-up in the 2022 championship. And there's confirmation. I punched the air a little bit in the commentary box because my maths proved to be correct. Marvin Dienst and Berkay Bessler, of course, our champions. Kratz and Wies, with that victory, did indeed net 2nd in the championship ahead of Unlapping and Matthias Luton. Axel Jeffries, with the early retirement of his number 2 car, the Conrad Motorsport Ginetta, unfortunately relegated to 4th in the championship. Some fabulous names as we scroll down the championship classification. Of course, a lot of teams doing part-time entries this year with an interest to future seasons and future participations in the Prototype Cup Germany. Some very decorated competitors, excellent Le Mans racers, among others, taking to the grid, as well as one chap named Freddie Hunt, who was very successful for Reiter Engineering at the Nürburgring round in July as part of the Truck Grand Prix event at the Nürburgring, one of the bigger events of the Nürburgring calendar, and a very good platform to promote Prototype Cup Germany. I'm sure that was a strategic call from ADAC and Creventic to get as many eyes on the Prototype Cup Germany as possible. And not just the eyes, but the ears, it must be said, and the feet, because the noise is such that it vibrates your feet when you're in the stands watching LMP3 cars. The 5.6-litre Nissan V8 motors really do send shockwaves through your ribcage if you're anywhere near them when they're at full chat. Myself and my GT Masters commentary colleague Brian Oliver were walking through the woodlands here at Hockenheim, where the former track, the former layout of the circuit once was, as these cars were out in the Thursday test sessions, and the sound of them through the trees was absolutely gorgeous. And big thumbs up from Brian, who's just walked into the commentary box as well. We are just awaiting the podium for this race, our final podium of the season. And I'm sure it's going to be high spirits all round. Von Gartzen and Gary Hauser will return to the podium after the lowest of lows yesterday. Gary Hauser is such an experienced driver in LMP3. He's pretty much been there from day one in LMP3 competition. Kind of took a sideways step from racing a GP2 car in Boss GP into LMP3 competition in the European Le Mans Series and the Michelin Le Mans Cup when the LMP3 category rose in popularity. The racing experience team, basically the Hauser family team, going from strength to strength this season in Prototype Cup Germany. The Luxembourg-based squad, who I imagine, given their allegiance to Luxembourg, would quite like to see Sachsenring on the calendar next year, because I imagine they could sleep in their own beds there. And I believe we are about to see the drivers up onto the podium. Wonder if we're going to get Berkay Bessler and Marvin Dienst up there as our champions. Wonder if they'll get the opportunity to spray some champagne as well. We'll wait and see. But here comes Gary Hauser and Sebastian von Gartzen. Third step on the podium for this pairing. A strong driver lineup for sure. One that I hope to see back next season. Rory Penttinen, the solo driver, in second place for MRS GT Racing. A great first weekend in LMP3s for MRS GT Racing. Torsten Kratz and Leonard Wiese finally struck gold, however, in this category. They've waited until the last round of the season to claim a win, and once they did it, they went, yes, another 2 wins this weekend for Kratz and Wiese. And we'll now observe the national anthem. In fact, no, I think we might yet invite a class winner up onto the podium. Ah, no, I was right the first time. Here's the national anthem. And so there you go, the German national anthem ringing out at the end of a very exciting ADAC season finale. Charles Momartz of Michelin Motorsport, the Michelin Motorsport manager, handing over the first place trophies to Kratz and Wiese. Of course, Michelin, the tyre suppliers for this category. Jerry Wilhelms, Creventic's sporting manager, presenting the second place trophies. He will be on his way to Q8 shortly for their next undertaking. and racing experience, receiving their third place trophies for good measure. And the junior trophy going to Leonard Wies. And funny enough, the trophies keep on coming for WTM Racing, as the trophy for that class handed over to Torsten Kratz, the trophy class for bronze drivers of 35 and over. I said it during the race, Torsten Kratz driving every bit like a silver competitor. I just hope that the FIA powers that be aren't listening to that, otherwise I might have just outed him as a very, very quick driver indeed, but that's exactly what he is. When you cut your teeth at the Nürburgring, it tends to sharpen your skills, and that's exactly what Torsten Kratz has done over the years. And great to see Kratz and Wies spraying the champagne on the top step once more. As I said earlier on, great momentum for them should they look into doing this championship again in 2023, and I'm sure they will do so. It's been a great season, a great inaugural season, taking in Spa, the Nürburgring, the Lausitzring and Hockenheim in the first season of Prototype Cup Germany. Creventic and ADAC have worked long and hard to bring this project to fruition. They're going to make it even better in the seasons to follow. But for now, thank you for watching, and congratulations to Berkay Bessler and Marvin Dienst, the first ever Prototype Cup Germany champions.